Hi, I'm Gary Murphy, and we've been learning together today about Tier 1 practices. And I know in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking, we already do some of these things, and we still have kids that are acting up, misbehaving, doing things they shouldn't do in the classroom. So, kindergarten teachers in those kindergarten rooms, I know you can tell us how many days of school we have left, but we're about halfway through. But what can we do between now and May to help those kids make it through and also to help ourselves stay sane as we get towards that last day of school? So a couple things that I've done, I've done a thorough meta-analysis of touchy-feely teacher stories that I could find in all the Chicken Soup for the Teacher Soul books. And none of those began with telling students to sit down, be quiet, reinforcing classroom rules. It's weird. I thought maybe they would, but they don't. So what I've done, maybe in an effort to help us make it through to that last day of school, is come up with a couple strategies that are research-based that can help us work with those kids. We're not quite to Tier 2 and Tier 3 practices yet, but one thing that you'll notice about, as I point to my list, the Tier 2 and Tier 3 practices really are just Tier 1 practices that have been intensified. They're applied with more frequency, more duration, more intensity. So we are approaching some Tier 2 and Tier 3 practices, but we will get into those more later. So a couple things you can do now that are research-based. One thing you can do, this is kind of a shout out to Sarah Stapleton, Melissa Mumper, and Michelle Carpentieri. The PACS Good Behavior Game. This is a research-based strategy where instead of trying to make everything perfect with instruction, perfect with student behavior all day, that you take a 10-15 minute chunk of time and work with kids on really having the perfect behavior, the perfect teaching. All the Tier 1 essential 8 practices are perfect in that 15-20 minute block. After it's over, you process with the kids and talk about what went well, what we need to work on as a group. And there is a PowerPoint that has more details on that in your additional information at the bottom of your module. A second thing you can take a look at is LearnBall. LearnBall is kind of a quick, easier way to implement the PACS Good Behavior Game. There's a small cost associated with it. There's also some information in your additional information at the last module in your presentation. And finally, if a student misbehaves, I always assume first that they don't know what they should do, or they don't know how they should behave exactly, and they may be trying, but it's not the behavior I need to see. So I'll reteach that behavior. I'll talk to them about what they should do and how that behavior that I'm suggesting might work better than what they're doing. If that doesn't work, then I assume it's not an education issue, it's a matter of motivation. So one way to increase a student's motivation is to, thank you Holly-Anna Chambers, is to look at teacher versus student. And it's just gamifying a situation where if you can do this behavior better than I can, then I guess you'll win, you beat me. Or you may have to put a little bit of skin in the game. If you can do this for 2 weeks, I guess I'll do a pie in the face or insert whatever behavior the kids might find reinforcing and highly motivating. Because if the students know what they should do and they're not doing it, it's a motivation issue. So there are a couple things that can help you out. If those don't meet your needs, please send me an email, Gary Murphy, just here in the St. Joseph School District. And a final note, I really do appreciate all you're doing, and I know it's not always easy. I hope some of these Tier 1 practices work, whether it's reinforcing or new knowledge, because again, I know we're all at different places with this journey. But truly, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for working with those kids every day, and thank you for looking at some of these practices and thinking about what you might do differently in the next few days.